Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me in this masterclass. It is going to be a very important and interesting topic to you that is eventually going to influence your state of happiness and also state of peace in your life. The topic is called Recognize and Tame Your Cognitive Distortions. It's going to be an important topic. I would say this is going to be your light bulb moment for you to know this as early as this. Then it's become the tool of your personal transformations for you and for your family in the future. We're going to talk about your brain. Rather, we're going to talk about how your brain works. Okay? It's like this, as simple as this. Let's say from a mango tree or a rambutan tree or any tree in your garden, and you started to see the tree is actually dying. So you got an option now to revitalize the tree, right? So what is the option? You can go and paint the leaves, or you can go and paint the trunk. Will that save the tree? No, it won't. It can't and it won't. So if you really want to do something to save the tree, you got to do something at the root level. You may want to give some fertilizers, you may want to put some medicine, so you may want to put some more waters, whatever it is. Anything that you do at the root level can eventually save the tree if the situation is possible. Otherwise, the tree will still die. But the only way that you can try to save the tree is that when you work under the ground at the root level, then you have a higher chance of saving the tree. So if you want to transform, if you want to change your life, the best way to work is at the root level. Whenever we talk about the root level, we are talking about your brain, we are talking about your mind. Okay, we are talking about the way you think. What happens if there is a problem in the way you think? What happens when there is a what you call situation where you cannot control of your thoughts? It's almost like a machine, okay, which is actually right in the state where they can't functional optimally. Can you imagine your brain is like this, right? So we're going to address how to make sure your brain not rusted, your brain is actually function fluently and to get you what you want. Just take a straw, which is a straight straw, right? There's nothing wrong with the straw. So what happened when you put the straw in a glass of water? Suddenly, a straight straw looks like a crooked, okay, situation. It's a bended. Is that something wrong with the straw? We saw the straw earlier, which is very straightforward, but looks like there is something wrong with the straw now. So nothing wrong with the straw. However, what's wrong with the straw right now is actually our views are distorted. The way we look at things are distorted. Imagine that many things out there that's happening in our life are actually based on our distorted view. So I mean things are okay, but the way we are looking at are not okay. We call that as a optical illusions. Okay, optical illusions is something like this. So you really cannot pinpoint what is the beginning and what is the start. And when you look at it from a different angle, everything will give you different image. Your brain could not pinpoint and identify what exactly the situation is. We're going to address that topic called cognitive distortions. Trust me, if you recognize these cognitive distortions, that will lead you to understand the way your brain works, the way your mind works, and why your thoughts are like that. Then what you can do to improve the state of your thinking, happiness, and peace within you. Join me in this journey of discovering these cognitive distortions, which is going to be the most powerful tool that you're going to carry for your rest of your life. I will share only 10, but there are plenty of there. I hope that you will take the necessary actions to discover more, to apply more of these techniques in your life. So what is this cognitive distortion? This is a great work by Dr. Burns, okay? When he wrote this book called Feeling Good, A New mood therapy. Actually, he wrote this book to help those people who are mentally, suffering with certain mental health problem, for instance, anxiety and depression. So he actually found out that this is the best way compared to giving them medicines. So the idea of cognitive distortions, came from another concept called cognitive dissonance, and Dr. Byrne thought that this is the best tool that he can provide to those people who are mentally suffering. So eventually, he also wrote the second book called The Feeling Great. Just now is Feeling Good, Feeling Great, and it's a new revolutionary, new treatment for depression and anxiety. So can you imagine that? So in this book, he talks about what is cognitive distortions, how you can recognize it, then how you can actually take proactive action to change the way you think. Remember, the change the way you think is the only way for you to change the way you live. What is this cognitive distortion? A quick video for you.
Did you know that your mind plays tricks on you? Psychology researchers have known for a while about something called cognitive distortions. These are negative or irrational thought patterns that play a role in diminishing your motivation, destroying your self-esteem, and contributing to mental health problems like anxiety and depression. Now, any of these negative thought patterns are dangerous because what they essentially do is lead you to believe something that isn't true. They lead you to inaccurately perceive reality, and that can be incredibly damaging. So in this episode, I want to explore some of the most common cognitive distortions that I've come across in our work with professionals all around the world, and then share powerful practices that you can apply to avoid getting sucked in. The first is overgeneralization. This is where you form a sweeping conclusion on the basis of very limited data. You see a pattern based on a singular event. For example, I didn't progress to the interview stage when I applied for that job, so I'm never going to get another job anywhere else. The mental filter. This is where you notice only the negative aspects of circumstances and you ignore the positive. It's also a form of pessimism bias. For example, everything has failed at work this week, when in fact, you did have a number of personal successes. Catastrophizing. You magnify the meaning of events and you blow things way out of proportion. They're going to notice the typo in my proposal and I'm going to lose all credibility and then get fired. You might also expect disaster to strike no matter what and then get fixated on all the what ifs. What if I miss my alarm tomorrow? What if I'm then late for the meeting? What if I lose the client deal? Personalization. This is where you place personal blame or responsibility on yourself as being the cause of a negative outcome, which you actually weren't directly responsible for. It's entirely my fault that the team couldn't close the deal, when you had nothing to do with it. You might also believe that everything others say or do is some kind of direct personal reaction to you. I wasn't invited to that project meeting, everyone must hate me. And fifth, labeling. This is an extreme form of overgeneralization where you assign labels to yourself. For example, instead of, I made an error in that report when I submitted it, you attach a negative label to yourself and you say, I'm a failure, I'm completely useless. Now, the fact is, these negative distortions of the mind can lead you to feel bad and to make decisions that aren't in your best interest. The worst part is that they can become so deeply entrenched as a pattern of thinking that you come to accept them as a part of who you are, which then leads you to feel helpless. So if any of these cognitive distortions that I just took you through sounded even remotely familiar, here are 4 practices to help. First, take a step back and observe. In the psychology literature, there's a concept called metacognition, which involves an awareness of our thought processes and understanding the patterns behind them. So basically, you're thinking about your thinking. So the first step is to do that. Pull back to a bird's eye view and start to view your thoughts objectively. Write them down. What are you telling yourself about the situation and the event? Is it factual? Is it accurate? Could there be another way to interpret it? Second, replace absolutes. When we're stuck in patterns of cognitive distortion, we often use absolute language like always, nothing, or never. Rephrase these statements, replacing absolutes with something more realistic like sometimes or on occasion. Third, from labels to fact. So you didn't go to the gym today. Instead of I'm lazy, rephrase it as I didn't go to the gym today. If you didn't get the job, instead of I'm unemployable, say I didn't get the job. It sounds really simplistic, but it's about training yourself to search for facts rather than drawing incorrect conclusions about yourself. Keep a record of ants. Going forward, keep a notebook where you capture whenever an automatic negative thought or ant pops into your mind. Write down the following. What is the thought? What led you to have the thought? What caused the unpleasant feelings that you're experiencing? Which cognitive distortions are clouding your judgment? What evidence is there that the thought is true, and what evidence is there that it's not true? Now, you've already thought about the worst case scenario, so what is the best that could happen? What's the most realistic scenario? And how likely are the best case and the most realistic scenarios? As you continue to do this, you'll start to notice patterns and trends, and it will become easier to identify and then reframe any cognitive distortions in your thinking. So I hope that this helped give you an insight into some of the cognitive distortions that commonly cloud your thinking processes, and you can use the 4 practices to help prevent you from falling into their trap. If you found value in this episode, did you know that your mind plays...
Okay, I hope that a video was clear enough for you to understand what is this cognitive distortion and what are the action that one must take it. Cognitive distortions, as a definition it goes, is habitual. That means you're already into the mode of thinking like that, and often inaccurate, and often negative thoughts pattern that can negatively impact one's perception of reality. See, your reality is not distorted. Reality is not what it is. Reality is what you think it is, right? And also your well-being, often leading to anxiety. We already talked about it, okay? Depression and other mental health challenges. So cognitive distortion is a situation where you're going to suffer because of this way of you're looking at certain things. Your thoughts, your thinkings are distorted here, okay? So thought patterns are caused by people to view in an inaccurate way, in a negative ways. In short, he said if there are habitual errors in thinking, remember the habitual, that means there is some problem of the way you think. The error is the thing. When you experience cognitive distortion, it says the way you interpret even is usually negatively biased. That means the moment you have this cognitive distortion, you're going to look at things negatively. We call ANS, automatic negative thinking syndrome. Then most people experience cognitive distortion from time to time. Of course, no doubt about it. But if they are reinforced often enough, they can increase anxiety, deepen depressions, relationship difficulties, and lead to a host of other complications. So I'm just sending you the message. What happens if you're not addressing it? Okay, this cognitive distortion. Research suggests that people develop cognitive distortion as a way of coping with adverse life event. That means you find this one is the technique that you use to run away from reality or to make you feel good, because when things happen bad, you don't know how to deal with it. So you start to use your brain to escape from it. The more prolonged and severe those adverse events are, the more likely it is that one or more cognitive distortion will form. So imagine that every time when you started to run away, okay? What we're going to do, we're going to go through a 10 list of cognitive distortions for you to check and reflect, am I suffering from this or not? Okay? Before that, we're going to watch an interesting video. What happened if you personalize things, see things negatively without being objective about it? This is the story of a snake that got entangled with the situations, but because of the mind, how the mind works, the snake got itself into deeper trouble. It can happen to you. It can happen to anybody, because we are not being objective. We think that the world out there is to, operating such a way to get us. We feel that the enemies everywhere, the enemies are. So, the snake and the saw battle.
I want to share with you a powerful story about a snake and a saw. Before you question what a snake and a saw has to do with your life, it is about much more than a snake and a saw. It's about what happens to us when we react in anger. It's about what happens to us when we hold on to resentment and when we don't let go of negative emotions. It's about what can happen to us when we want negative things to happen to others. So the story is this. One night after closing time, a snake found its way inside a home improvement store. As the snake slithered around, it clipped itself on a handsaw that was lying on the ground. Thinking the saw was a threat, the snake instantly snapped around and bit the saw. Of course, this caused much more damage, with the snake cutting inside its mouth. Not understanding what was happening, and thinking the saw was an enemy, the snake wrapped its long body around the saw, attempting to suffocate it. Of course, the snake didn't do any damage to the saw. Instead, ended up being killed by the sharp blade of the saw. The snake ended up being killed by its own anger, by its own reaction to something it thought was out to get it. There's a powerful message here. Often we react in anger when we think others have hurt us, or when we assume that others are out to get us. We react when we don't need to. We hold on to resentment, and sometimes we hope the other gets hurt, but in doing so, we only end up hurting ourselves. The negative energy we carry around when we hold on to these resentments and negative feelings only makes us suffer. Never the person we might want to suffer. When we react in anger rather than with compassion, no one wins. When we snap back, we can't win. It is always better to ignore negativity. It's always better to let go of negative feelings toward others and rather focus on creating the best life we can for ourselves. If someone does us wrong, rather than react angrily, maybe we should try to understand where that person is coming from. Show some compassion. Maybe they are having a bad day. Maybe all of their days are bad. When we look at things from a new perspective, it is much easier to move on, leaving all negative energy behind. Holding on does nothing good for our future. We must let go. We must move on before the anger consumes us and ruins us like the snake. Don't react. Instead, show compassion. Don't hold on. Instead, move on. And rather focus on creating the best life we can for ourselves.
So the question is that what and who are we fighting against? How clear are we about what's happening to us or towards us? Okay, so we're going to give a list of cognitive distortions, definitions, and also some understanding. So what I want you to do is go through this with me and ask yourself, am I suffering from this? Okay, so I hope you will have less of this list, not more of this list. But if you have more of this list, of course, this is the reflection time for you to reflect and also improve from that. So what is the number one? Number one cognitive distortion is called all or nothing thinking. We call black or white thinking. What does that mean? That means we cannot tolerate anything less than perfection. No, it must be like this. Okay, there's no gray areas, right? A setback, if something happened to me, oh, I'm doomed. I'm effed. Okay, so that means today when you're angry with me, looks like you hate me. So you see, we either go this way or that way. There is no in between. Actually, life is all about in between. The black, the color black exists because there is a white and black in it. One point we call continuum is all white. One point is all black. Okay, when you mix together, it will become gray. So that means what is white is only one dot. What is black is only one dot. Remember, black exists because there is white. So I mean, black and white are in the same continuum. Same continuum. That means there's only one dot of white, one dot of black. Everything else is gray. But the way we think and operate, it's either this or that. No, life is not like that. Life can be actually different from that as well. So do you suffer from black or white thinking? Ask yourself this question. Second, overgeneralizing. Wow, this is another classic case. What do you mean by overgeneralizing? A single event is seen a never-ending pattern of defeat. Oh, my life is like that. I mean, you just had a bad day today, but you think that your life is doomed. You overgeneralize things that, okay, let's say you wake up this morning, you knock yourself somewhere or burn yourself in the shower or something like that. And suddenly you say that, oh, the day going to be bad. It's just one single event. But somehow you overgeneralize it, thinking that everything in your life is really bad. Okay, so it's almost like if you take one apple and one apple is what you call rotten, then you started to blame every apple in that box is rotten, or matter of fact, you said that every fruit in the shop is rotten because there's only one incident. We overgeneralize things like this. It happens in Malaysia. One particular race, one particular incident happened, we started to blame the entire race. That is overgeneralizing. Third one is called dwelling on the negative. Wow, this is classic, right? That means you only focus on the negative thing. There are thousands of positive things that happen in your life, but you don't actually focus on them. You ignore all the positive. Okay, you don't even hear the positive. People, your mind is so fixated, you only focus on the negative things, right? If I have a constructive assessment, which is a 90% positive and 10% negative, some people only see the negative things. For instance, normally we'll do one exercise. The exercise goes like this. Okay, I just want to demo. Let's say if you give people a blank piece of white paper, then you ask them to do one small dot, let's say like this, yeah? Okay, let's say like this. Yes, you all can see. You all can see, yeah? There's a small black dot. Okay, a small black dot. So when you show people this paper, so what do they focus? They focus on the small white dot, a black dot. They don't focus on the 99.9% of the white paper because your mind go to that one negative things. So are you that person who ignore the positive and always focus on the negative? Are you a pessimist? Are you a what you call optimist? You know, the glass test, you give people half glass of water. Some people will say, oh, it's half full. Some people will say, hey, this half empty. The person who say it's half empty is a pessimist. Always look for the negative things. The person who say that it's a half full is what we call as an optimist. These people always focus on the positive things. What are you? Who are you? Do you focus on the negative all the time? Or do you look for positive all the time? The next cognitive distortion is called disqualifying the positive, related to the earlier one. Even when people are giving you some compliment, you don't want to focus on that. Okay, we insist our positive qualities accomplishment don't count. Okay, for instance, that you pass your exam, then somebody said, hey, congratulations. He said, no lah, it's luck only. No, you worked for it. There's nothing luck in that one. So people are complimenting. Let's say you dress up very well, then I said, hey, he looks beautiful in this dress, or he looks handsome in this dress. People are genuinely complimenting. Now you're saying that what this person, why he said so, is he teasing me? Is he want to humiliate me? You only look into the negative side of it. People generally, genuinely compliment you, but you cannot accept that because you are the type that who disqualify the positive. Okay, we have succeeded many times, but only remember the failure that dominates our mind. This is another case, right? You have done that, you succeeded many times, but suddenly you fail one thing, now your life is doomed. So are you the person who actually disqualify the positives in your life? The next one is called jumping into conclusion. Oh, people are expert in this, right? They're jumping into conclusion. That means they say something, they conclude something without even know the actual story or without having the actual data to prove. We think we can read people's mind. No, you can't. We think that we can read people's mind and conclude what they're thinking badly of us. Number one of the top 3 reasons why people are not happy in their life is that they worry too much about other people's opinion. Okay, they worry too much about other people's opinion. The problem here is that you think that other people are actually thinking about you. No, research shows most of the time other people don't care about you. Maybe they pass some comments about you, but they're not thinking about you. They move on with their life. So when you think that other people think about you more than what they really do, that's where you are in trouble. That's where your happiness goes out of the window because you worry about other people's opinion. And why? Because you try to read their mind. No, you can't. You can't. Please stop doing that. We think that things will turn out badly even when there is absolute no reason to think so. You somehow feel that it's not going to happen. Somehow things, unless you try, unless you give a fair chance to it, how can you say so? So are you the person who jump into conclusion too soon, too fast, and almost always get it wrong? If you are, develop an ability of proper analysis before you make your decisions. The next one is that magnifying and minimizing. This is good, this is good. It's almost like what we call as a binocular effect. What is a binocular effect? Let's say you take a binocular, you look at certain things, right? So if you look at the big one, the big lens is in your eyes, the objects will look small. So when you turn it around, when you make the small lens, and the objects will look big. So we call that as what we call magnifying and minimizing the way that you look into the thing. Sometimes people, when small thing happen, they use the small lens to look at it and blow the thing into big one. So when good things happen, they use the big lens to look at it. So the good things will look very small. So you always use your binocular wrongly. When something small, bad thing happen, it could be just one of things. So I won't say ignore, but just take this as a small matter. It's a small matter. Let's deal with it. When some good things happen, celebrate success. Make it big. Celebrate success. So your brain will get excited to achieve more success. So we blow up certain things and shrink others. So this is what it is. Remember the binocular effect. And we blow up wrong things, and we also shrink the wrong thing. Usually it is the negative that get blown up. Okay, when there's something negative happen, bing. And the positive that shrink either in our, what do you call, ourselves and others. You don't want to do that. The next one is emotional reasoning. Oh, this is going to be powerful. See whether you are into that or not. We judge from our feelings. I feel like an idiot, therefore I must be on. So you go into your emotions, very much into your feeling. You listen to your emotions too much. Stop doing that. You got a brain to analyze things. So stop listening to your emotions. Manage your emotions. Oh, I feel terrible this morning, so I must look terrible and everyone can see it. It's not only that you feel that others are seeing you terrible. So that actually further enhance your belief that you're not good enough, because you always think that people are looking at your negative side of you. You'll never feel enough. Remember, you don't feel good enough is one of the mental conditioning that will keep you unhappy all the time. Okay. Oh, I feel it. So that means it must be true, lah. No, you just feel. Thoughts and feelings, they come and go all the time. They are automatic. Do not recognize all this all the time. Analyze it and move on. Okay. Don't overly emotionally reason things out. Okay. It won't help you. Won't help you. Should statement. This is, I must say, the relationship killer. What do I mean by relationship killer? Because you use the word, you should do that, you shouldn't do that, into your friends, into your, what you call, spouses, or maybe your boyfriend or girlfriend. You demand that people should do or shouldn't do certain things. My question is that, who are you? Who are you to demand this? It's people's life. If you are not happy with them, you don't demand. Either you work things out or you leave. That's a key, right? What is that should or shouldn't thinking? We criticize ourselves and others with the word like, you should do that, you shouldn't do that. No, you're asking too much in a relationship. Not good for you. I want you to say, not good for you. Be realistic and go into, this is people's right, the way they are behaving. You want to be recognized for the way you are. At the same time, if you really want to be recognized the way you are, you also must recognize others for the way they are. You don't demand anything beyond that, okay? Because it's normally will create resentment, or maybe sometimes it will feel guilt. This is again. And if and when you are married and you have children, avoid doing this to your children. Do not impose too much of should and shouldn't statement on your child because they will grow up feeling guilt of not being a good son or good daughter. Some of you may even feel that your parents have done that to you, okay, because of their expectation and the demand on you, and they always felt criticized. You can actually avoid that actually. Labeling and mislabeling is another thing, is that instead of saying I made a mistake, okay, or you forgot the door, we sometimes say that I never do anything right. Hey, come on, this is just only one mistakes, right? But you label yourself or mislabel yourself. Or when sometimes your friend is saying something that is not appropriate, so it's just not okay in the context. But what you do, you go and call the person as so stupid. Why you're so stupid? Hey, come on, it's just one small mistake. Do not label people. Most importantly, do not mislabel people. Okay, people make mistake. It's just one mistake. You don't call them as a traitor. Okay, so that's about it. Do not label or mislabel. Like for instance, this morning when I talked about most of you do not practice the attitude of gratitude, I didn't mislabel. I gave you an examples of what are the things that you should be doing in your life. I'm not saying that you're ungrateful. I didn't say that. I'm saying that you are not showing enough gratitude. But if you become ungrateful, that's a different statement altogether. That is labeling, right? Personalizing and blaming. Listen to this one. Listen to this one. See whether you suffer from this or not. You take the blame all the time. Or on the contrary, you blame others all the time. You don't take responsibility. Both also bad. Sometimes you take all the blame. Okay, personalizing. Actually, yeah, he is okay, she's okay. I'm the one, I'm not good enough. Hey, hello, no. Relationship works in a both way, right? So you have to see whether or not you must take responsibility to improve yourself. Okay, or you tell people that they are not okay in your life, but do not blame others all the time. There are people that every problem is other people's problem. He or she is the best one. No, it's not going to happen. We either blame ourselves or something that we are not really responsible for, or we blame other people all the time when our own attitude and behavior might have contributed to the problem. That means you are source of the problem, but you actually blame all the others. Okay. So, for instance, I shared a WhatsApp status the other day. Okay. When the coffee is cold, do not blame the coffee. When the coffee is cold, turn cold, do not blame the coffee. When you prepared the coffee was hot enough for you to drink. So when the coffee turned cold, that means you didn't take the right action at the right time. You delayed drinking it. So when a relationship turns sour, do not blame the relationship because you didn't take necessary action as when needed. So you should drink the coffee when it's hot. So stop blaming the coffee. You didn't drink. So when a relationship turns sour, do not blame the other person. Ask yourself what you should have done, when you should have done, okay, soon as possible for you to improve the situation. That is what we call as taking responsibility. Stop blaming others. Our conclusion. Our thoughts often determine our moods. What's going on in your head often determine your moods. If you really, really master cognitive distortions, the list that we have shared earlier, okay, remember you can untwist our thinking because you are well recognized what's happening, how your brain works, and how this is causing some pain in your life. There is no other better way than taking charge of it. My name is Mehan. Thank you for being with me for these sessions. So, what is this? Because cognitive distortion, as we have discussed earlier. Cognitive distortion is basically an idea where you think about the way you think, then how it is actually changing your perception about the world more often into a negative way of concluding things. I really hope that by this topic, and I want you to do more, want you to do more research on this. Check yourself, do some assessments online that is available so that you can improve reversing this cognitive distortion, as well as you can actually take charge of, look at the view, positively, happily, and always be in peace. Thank you for joining me in this session.